Hey, good morning, everybody. I am sorry. Last I looked at my computer, it was like 8:28. I was jotting down on my note. Well, I wrote them down like 3 times. So I was writing them down so I could read them. And all of a sudden, I look up. It's 8:37. I am sorry. Well, it's good to see you guys this morning. Happy birthday to me. Today's my birthday, so congratulations to my mom. She's the one that actually did all the work on today. It's like I feel silly because everybody celebrates you, but she's the one that actually did it all. And Livy, Damien's out of town, but Livy brought me breakfast in bed, which is so sweet. Good morning, Jake. Good morning, Aunt Jackie. Good morning, Beth. I hope you guys are doing good. Well, you know, I'm turning 43. Hi, Cindy. Thank you. I love you. That's my sister. Happy birthday. Thank you. We just celebrated her 40th. And now today I am 43. Oh, I love you too. So today I thought I'll share with you the lessons I've learned in the last 10 years. Just only the ones that changed my life. Yeah, I got a haircut. It's supposed to be all messy and stylish, but it just keeps going back like, you know, like, I mean, it's cute. I like it. It's more, what do you call it? Like, it goes back to the right places, which is great. I love it so much. So I tried to pick out the lessons that actually have changed my life in the last 10 years. So that's what I'm going to share with you today. And I would love to hear what your life lessons are. This is Julie Hamilton, Life Builders, simple tips to build a strong and healthy life on. And I made a list. So let's get to it. What was I going to say? Something. I forget. Anyway. Okay. So 10 years ago, I had a 7-year-old and a baby. 10 years ago, I was still working from home. I was still teaching, independent study teacher. And 10 years ago, we had not gone full-time in our business, and we were working, Damien was working 2 jobs, basically. Thank you, Beth. Damien was working 2 jobs. He was working his full-time corporate job and then also beginning our photography business. That was the beginning of all that. 10 years ago, I wasn't doing videos. 10 years ago, I was just trying to make it, man, with a 7-year-old and a baby, just trying to keep up. And so here we are 10 years later. Good morning, guys. I can see Justine and Jessica. And hi, thank you so much for all the birthday wishes. I love you. And Joe, I saw on there. So let's talk about number one. The number one thing, and these are in no particular order. They are just randomly ordered. But wine. Let's just start talking about wine because wine's fun. One thing I learned in the last 10 years is that wine is more than a beverage. I didn't know this because I didn't grow up, you know, drinking wine or whatever. But I learned it because the Easter after we moved here to Napa, we moved here 8 years ago. It'll be, wait, will it be 8 years in January?
8 years in January. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it'll be 8 years in January. I learned that we had some wine, and then we went out, you know, to play on our street, and our friends kept inviting us, and we were like, I was like, no, I already had some wine, like, you know what I mean? I was like, no, I had my beverage, I'm good, I don't need any more wine. And, you know, they were so insistent, and it was at that moment that I realized, you know what, and because they were like, come on in, come drink some wine, we just opened this bottle. And it was at that moment where I realized that, oh, wine is not about the beverage, it's about hospitality. It's about art. It's about life. It's about joy. And so I began to realize that wine is more than like that. I also didn't know wines could change your life, but a couple of months ago, we were having dinner with some friends, and this restaurant, it was really sweet, and they started bringing us out these wines we could never pay for. They were so good. I am kidding, I am not joking. I thought about those wines for a very long time. Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Joe. So wine is more than a beverage. I realize that. The second thing that I've learned in the last 10 years is that your scariest leap of faith could become your biggest blessing. When we felt like we were supposed to move here and people would say to us, why are you moving? And we'd be like, I don't know. I just feel like it's in my heart. I feel like God's telling me to do it. And you know, it was scary. We were scared, all the emotions, but deep inside we felt the peace that we were supposed to do it, but it was emotionally scary. And once we did, you cannot even imagine the blessings that have opened up in our life because of that act of obedience. And we didn't know. We weren't expecting it. Hi, thank you, birthday twin. Yes, it's Heidi's birthday too. Yay. So, sometimes the biggest leap of faith can actually become your biggest blessing because you don't know what's on the other side of that leap of faith. You don't know what's on the other side of the fear. And sometimes you can't imagine. It's so good that you can't even imagine it. So, all about taking the leap of faith and seeing what unfolds because you never know. I mean, the things that we get to do now and people that we get to photograph, celebrities and whatnot, and the jobs that Damien gets to do, the relationships that we have that we've gained just from taking that leap of faith, the business that we've gained, and what we maybe were able to give away in a month, let's say when we lived down in LA, now we're able to give that away in 1 week. And you would never have known that. We would never have known that, and about generosity and being in the marketplace and all that. Hey, good morning, Juana. So the scariest leap of faith may become your biggest blessing. That's number 2. Number 3, nobody else is going to take care of you for you. You have to do it. You have to make time for self-care. Thank you, Juana. Make time for self-care. Whether you have to block it out and say, babe, it's 6:30 in the morning on a Saturday, I'm gonna go down and read by myself at Pete's or whatever, or you're like, hey, I'm gonna take a day to go do something that I want to do. Take care of yourself. Nobody's gonna come along and say, oh, Julie, are you getting enough rest? Julie, are you getting enough alone time? Are you getting enough of this, that? No, it's you. Make yourself a priority. You are so worth it, and nobody else is going to do it for you. It's going to have to be you. Okay, that's number 3. Okay, number 4, parenting.
Oh,
Can we talk about parenting?
That's a good one.
10 years ago, I was parenting a 7-year-old and a baby. Now I'm parenting a 17-year-old and a 10-year-old. And here's what I've learned about parenting is your parents were right. And parenting is harder as they get older. You think that it's hard when they're little because you're trying to keep an eye on them all the time. They're dumping out the Cheerios and stuff like that. But when they get to be older, you can't keep an eye on them. And you're just equipping them with, you're just going like, did I give them all the tools they need to make the choices that they need to make that are going to make their life amazing? And so you're, doing that. And then the messes that they make aren't with Cheerios. They aren't with stuff spilling on the floor. They're with car accidents and other things and that are affecting their life. And so I would definitely say parenting older children is much harder than parenting younger children, but don't lose hope. I mean, it's going to be fine. I think it gets better. I'm still I'm still parenting, so I'm pretty sure it gets better. But also I've learned that there's a tenderness in, I don't know about dads, I'm sure too, but moms that have older children, that's one thing I've learned is there's something in you that feels that sometimes there's like a little space that's missing. Like sometimes you feel like something's missing. It gets so much better. Okay. But then there's nothing like the joy of seeing your kid out there doing what they love and being successful at it and prosperous. So it's like kind of a mixed bag. It's like, ow and yay at the same time. So, all right. So that was number 4. Parenting is harder. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I had a moment a couple years back when Miranda wasn't driving yet. So she was 15 and she was doing classes in Vallejo and Livia's in preschool and all this stuff. And I was spending like 4 hours a day driving them around to all their different things. And one day I made like this long list of like, pick Livia up this time, pick Miranda, take Miranda here, drop this off, here's the blah, 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 blah. And this song came on by Trace Atkins. You guys know this song? You're gonna miss this. You're gonna miss this. You're gonna want this back. And you're gonna wish these days hadn't gone by so fast. These are some good times. So take a good look around. You may not know it now. You're gonna miss this. So that's the thing, you may not know it now, but you're gonna miss this. Totally, I botched that last line, but that's so true. You're gonna miss it. Like the days you're like, oh my god, it's crazy. You're gonna be like, one day you're gonna be like, wow, I really wish I was doing that. So anyway.
Wow, I'm bored.
Yeah, I know, like you're bored, like, wow, I wish I could drive somebody somewhere.
Yeah.
Don't make me cry. Okay, number 5. What looks like it can be a huge disadvantage can actually become your greatest advantage. Okay, so this is different than the leap of faith one, because what is framed like your biggest disadvantage can actually become your biggest advantage. And oh gosh, thank you, Cindy. Because, for instance, like with Livy's learning issues, you know, when I first found out that dyslexia wasn't considered a disability, she's sitting right here, so when I first found out dyslexia wasn't considered a disability, I was so upset. I was like, what? Why? It affects everything, you know, blah, 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 blah. And the more that I researched it, and the more that I found out, and the more that I began to see it with different eyes, I began to realize that all it is that the brain thinks differently than all of our brains. And that is actually quite an amazing thing. And that is an advantage. And that is something that makes people like Walt Disney and Whoopi Goldberg and Tom Cruise and George Washington and Albert Einstein and Winston Churchill, they see the world differently, and that is because that their brain works differently. And so in that way I learned that, you know, you might not fit into the box that everybody's trying to put you in. We don't all fit into the box, but sometimes that is the most glorious thing of all. Sometimes that's the most amazing thing of all, is not fitting into the box. And it's okay. Nobody's going to go, when you're 24, nobody's going to go, oh, what grade did you make in the 5th grade? No, they're not going to look at your grades. What they're going to be is like, wow, what is this woman creating when she's 24? What kind of brainstorm things is she thinking up? So anyways, what looks like your biggest disadvantage can often become an advantage, but it's all in the way that you frame it. Okay, number 6. This is a hard one, you guys. Love. This is what I've learned about love. Love is a choice. It's not a feeling. And I'll be honest with you, and I'm talking about like loving people, loving your spouse. You know, in the last 10 years, we've been through ups and downs and hard times. I'm talking about in our marriage. Hard times, the times when you don't even feel like you love that person. Okay, I'm just being honest. There are times where you're just like, what am I doing? Why am I here? And one thing that I've realized in the last 10 years is that love is about choosing to love. It's not about the way that you feel. It's about choosing to look at what that investment, that the thing that you've built together, the people around you, you have made an investment in all of that. Yeah, exactly. And you sometimes don't even feel like you love it. Let's be real. But it doesn't matter, because you're choosing it. You're choosing to love. You're choosing to honor. You're choosing to do all those things, and it's so much better than just saying, I don't feel like it anymore. Guess what? I don't feel like it sometimes too. I don't feel like I love, you know, and like, you're not always going to be like, oh, I feel in love with my spouse. No, you don't always feel in love with your spouse, but you learn to love what you've invested in, and you learn to appreciate that person. I haven't taken my allergy medicine today. I can tell it's starting to get to me. Okay, number 7, partnerships. Here's what I've learned about partnerships. This was in a dream God gave me about 8 years ago. This is what it said. Unequally yoked partnerships bring grief. Okay, you know what that means? That means you're thinking of partnering with someone, whether in business or in marriage or friendship or whatever, and you are unequally yoked in your values. You are unequally yoked in your vision. The unequally yoked is when they would put the yoke on the oxen. There's 2 oxen together. If you had one little oxen that was a little tiny and one that was real big, they would be unequally yoked, and it would mess up the stride of the plowing. It would mess up the way that they were walking. It would mess up the rows and everything, because one's stronger than the other. If you're unequally yoked in your partnership, it's going to bring grief in your life. And I'm not saying if you're married to someone who's unequally yoked, divorce them. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is, if you are going into a partnership, a business partnership, a marriage relationship, a dating relationship, a friendship, and something inside of you is going like, wait a minute, this person is probably not the best for me, don't go there. It's going to end, it's going to bring you grief. I'm telling you that right now. So don't go there. All right. Number 8, here's what I also learned, is that more people are struggling than you think they are. You are not alone. And the main way that I learned that is two things. One is by beginning to talk about my anxiety and my panic disorder that I had. And so many people are like, oh my gosh, I'm struggling with that too. They began to talk about it. And the other way I learned it is we went to, when I was sharing at a women's meeting last year, and I literally shared a picture of my journal when Jamie and I are having a lot of problems, and I was kind of walking them through, like, this is the process that, you know, I was walking through, and this, that, the other. I'm not kidding you. I cannot tell you how many women emailed me, Facebook messaged me, talked to me in person, and said, this is me, and I feel like I'm the only one. All of them said this sentence, I feel like I'm the only one. And it just made me realize how many of us are struggling with things. Because when you see people on Facebook or social media or in real life, we're not going to go into the depths of what we're struggling with, or, you know, hopefully you're not airing all your dirty laundry on Facebook. But so many people are struggling. Every person is struggling with something. And if you can just approach the world like that and find out that, you know, hey, this person's being a real jerk, but they're taking care of their dying mom, and you know, she's doesn't even remember who they are, or whatever. You know, every person is struggling with something. And so more people are struggling than you think. You are not alone. That's what I found out. Okay, number 9. One of the things that I learned in the last 10 years is that the way that you think changes your life. And it's in a couple ways. And then Dr. Caroline Leaf said this: if you knew the power of one negative thought, you would never have another one again. And that is because negative thoughts affect you physically down to your DNA. They release chemicals in your body. Sorry, my allergies. They release chemicals in your body, like fear and doubt release chemicals in your body that even affect your DNA, cause it to shrivel up and shrink up. And so when we have positive thoughts, it affects those chemicals differently. So positive and negative thoughts, and also gratitude. Gratitude changes the way that you see the world. I can't even say that enough times. Gratitude changes the way that you see the world, because you can be having the worst day. Like, I'll be honest, this is my story. When we were doing the Christmas tree, I was feeling pretty sad because Miranda didn't go with us to pick out the Christmas tree. She's not around. It's our first time decorating it without her, and I was feeling really sad. And then my mom's favorite song came on, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. And it was Judy Garland, and I'm like putting stuff on the tree, like blinking. It was not fun. It was not fun, you guys. But then I had to stop. I was feeling sad, and that's okay. It's okay to feel sad. But then I was like, you know what? I am so grateful that we were able to get a tree this year, because there's many years we weren't able to get a tree. I'm so grateful that I get to spend this time with Livy and Damien decorating our tree. And I'm so grateful for all the memories, like the ornaments we were putting up, and it was bringing back all these memories, and it changed my view of that day. So gratitude changes your world. You're having a rough day, be grateful anyway. You're gonna see something good. Hey, good morning, Jody. Good morning, Ileana. Okay, 2 more. This is number 10, but I do have one more. So I have the last. I put 1 through 10, and then I put last. So number 10, the one thing I learned in the last 10 years is that the two halves of our life are not equal. When I was turning 40, I was really upset. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm turning 40. My life is half over. And then I was at a coffee shop. Yes, and everything good things. That's so good, Cindy. That's right. It's like, it changes us, doesn't it? So I was at a coffee shop, and I saw this beautiful woman, gray hair. I see her there a lot. This is in St. Helena. You guys probably know her if you go to the St. Helena Coffee Roasting Company, or Napa Valley Coffee Roasting Company, but gray hair and then a bun, and she's so pretty. She's probably in her 70s. And she was holding a little baby, her little grandchild, and she was like walking the baby around. And then God just spoke to me, and he just says, the two halves of your life are not equal. The second half is the fruitful half. And it was basically all the choices that you made in the first half. You're sowing children, you're raising children, you're sowing seeds, you're sowing the seeds in your work, you're sowing the seeds in your personal life. The second half of your life is when you begin to reap all that you've sowed. You begin to reap the joy of seeing your children live their purpose. You begin to reap the joy of retirement. You begin to reap the joy of grandchildren. You begin to reap the joy of all the things that you've sowed hard for 40 years. Now it's time to begin to enjoy them. So that's one thing I learned, is that the two halves of our lives aren't equal. They are different, and we can't really count them as halves. Thank you, Ileana. Thank you, Jody. Okay, and then the last thing I want to say, this has been a really long video, but the last thing I've learned over the last 10 years, and this applies to me and it applies to you, is that you are more than you think you are. We get so easy of putting ourselves in the box. We let other people put us in the box, and we grow up in the box, and we put ourselves in the box. Oh, I could never speak live. Oh, I could never do a video. Oh, I could never start a business. Oh, I could never be a patient mom. Oh, I could never create. Oh, I could never make friends with this person. Oh, I could never send that email to a person that of influence. I'm just making fun of myself right now. But you are so much more than you think you are. And part of the way I learned this is interesting, because as a photographer, what happens is, what is the first thing people say to me? They say, I'm not photogenic. Okay? And I wish I could show you the beautiful pictures, stunning pictures, of all the people that have said to us, I'm not photogenic. But here's what I discovered. They don't see themselves as photogenic because they haven't had the right tools. They haven't had the right photographer with the right tools taking pictures of them. All they've had is their friends that don't know anything about posing taking pictures with their iPhones. And that's great, and that's fine. But once you get the right tools, it changes your mindset about what is possible. And so for us, we might not see ourselves as business people. We might not see ourselves as, creatives. We might not see ourselves as good moms. But the reality is, there are so many of those things that are lying dormant inside of us. All we have to do is unlock the box and let ourselves out of the box and let ourselves dream. And it's all about the way that you see yourself. We don't see ourselves in reality with what we are. We see ourselves the limited version. And the hard part of it is getting outside of that mindset to realize that I am being generous when I unlock everything that's inside and I open up and I bring to the world the thing that I have, the thing that I don't even believe that I have, but I have it inside, and I begin to get the right tools to unlock it. That is when you begin to see yourself the way that you are. So, you are more than you think you are. I just want to tell you that right now. Oh, Cindy said, plant with the harvest in mind. Yes, it's so true. And Katie said, the 2 hours of our lives tonight equal beautiful and truly thought-provoking and encouraging. Oh, thank you, Katie. I love you guys so much. That is my 10 lessons learned in the last 10 years. Like this little one brought me breakfast in bed today. Damien's out of town, and she is bearing the birthday responsibilities well. So, not responsibilities.
Oh, your allergy medicine.
Oh, thank you, my allergy medicine. So anyway, I hope you all have an amazing day. I love you. And if you ever wondered why in my email there's certain numbers, and if you know me well, you really well, you would know that 7 is my number. Because my birthday is December 7th. I weighed 7 pounds, 7 ounces, and I was born in 1970 something, but it's not 77. I wish it was, because then I'd have 5 sevens. But anyway, I love you. Thank you for being a part of my birthday. Thank you for all the love and community that you guys provide. You are amazing, and I love you so much. So may your mind be fierce, and your heart strong, and your spirit very kind. I love you.
Bye.
Bye.